the leash, off and running. Week 7 of the books for the Cleveland Browns. Mark Schwab, Leah Holder. Leah Holder?
That's just a quicker way to say it. Just combine it.
I knew I was going to do that at some point.
Leah Holder. I don't like it. It's not a bad name.
You know, I should
I'm
just
okay
say
with it.
Ash Leah.
Ooh. Or Leah and Bria, as Mark likes to say a lot,
Let's try that
too.
again. Leah Doherty, Ashley Holder with you for another big share, the big pilgrim. True or false, question of the week, ladies. True, false question. The Browns should explore quarterback at the trade deadline.
I think it's a question of, do I think they will? No. Do I think they should?
Should is the key word.
I think they made a mistake in the beginning, giving someone away to the Cardinals to begin with, and I don't even think we would have been in this situation. But I don't know. I'm hesitant. Do I think it would make a huge difference? I mean, who are you going to get and bring in that's going to, lead you to a Super Bowl? What's our plan here? So, no, I don't think they will. I don't think they necessarily should.
Okay. Ashley?
I don't think they have anyone that's better than PJ Walker to bring in essentially right now. Like Leah said, who are they going to bring in that's just dramatically better than PJ Walker? The person I think they had that was dramatically better than him, they let go. Mm-hmm. So
we should bring Kirk Cousins here.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I would absolutely hate that.
What do you have against Cousins?
I don't have anything against him. I like him. What's the point?
What is playing?
That's your computer.
I'm saying mine's off.
What's playing?
This is what happens when the computer just gets a little feisty.
All right, here we go.
What the heck is that?
Computer gets
you know what?
Feisty.
It's very rare that Leah is the one to mess something up.
It's very rare.
It's usually Mark. I'm shocked right now.
Sorry, yeah.
She's got some vacay coming up. We're gonna chuck it up to that.
Yes, that's why my ESPN is just randomly playing ads. What do you have against Kirk Cousins?
I don't have anything against him. I just don't see the point of bringing him here.
No,
I want to see Kurt wear chains, and it ain't gonna happen here. Just leave him where he's at.
I don't think whoever they bring in, I don't think it's gonna make the dramatic difference that we're looking for. And look, PJ's winning you games at the moment, so
are they winning?
PJ is in the games that they win.
Thank you.
Okay,
he's not winning them games.
They are winning with PJ. They are not winning.
He didn't hurt us as much as Deshaun did for those 5 plays or whatever he was out there for. I don't think so.
Hey, well, like Deshaun said, if you want to call that a slow start,
which it was, it was a slow start.
It was. Yeah.
He was literally like, no, it's not a slow start. Only had 5 passes, and then he broke all the 5 passes down, all the 5 plays.
So I will say true, only because of the phrasing. I specifically said they should explore. That does not mean the Browns have to get. But one, I agree with you completely that you're not really going to bring in a guy that now you're going to go to the charge of the light brigade, and here we go to a Super Bowl victory. But I just think P.J. Walker is not good enough to be the backup quarterback for this team. They're winning in spite of him. Something like 3 of 12 or 3 of 13 on the last 2 critical drives between the Niner game and the Colt game. That's just fluky stuff. There were some big flags. I think, here's some names, 2 names.
Well, remember, just really quick, he wasn't supposed to be the backup quarterback. He was supposed to be the third string quarterback.
And that's actually worse.
Exactly. He was supposed to be DTR.
That's actually worse.
That's where the problem is right there.
They've whiffed 3 times. They whiffed on Dobbs. They whiffed on DTR.
But he's doing good for a third string quarterback. For a third string, remember, we can't look at him as a backup.
Here's 2 names that I think are reasonable, and they both involve getting somebody back in the fold. You can call Arizona, be like, hey, what do you want for Dobbs?
Can we take it back?
There is nothing wrong with admitting you made a mistake, but he would be my second option. My first call is to the Commanders, and I want to see what they want for Jacoby Brissett, because Jacoby Brissett was here last year when Deshaun Watson couldn't play and was way better than anything we've seen, and better than Dobbs has been even for Arizona. It's not a huge cap hit to go get him. I think it's something they need to consider, because this shoulder, I will not assume, I am not going to assume that this is going to be a problem all year. I also think it is foolish to assume it will not be a problem all year. And if you have to set him for another 2-3 weeks or whatever it is, you pulled him from the game yesterday, there is clearly a red flag situation here. That it's not unreasonable to think you might not have him for a few weeks at a time. And I think everyone with any kind of reasonable mindset towards this feels they'd be better off with Jacoby Brissett than what they've been with PJ Walker. Now,
I just think
I don't know what it takes to get him.
The Deshaun thing is just so weird. Like, I think you would explore bringing in another quarterback if you think this thing with Deshaun is going to linger or carry on or what have you. Is your mic not working or something?
No, I'm just doing some adjustments. Just tweaking.
We're off to a slow start today.
Man. We're 1 for 5 right now.
I could have fixed it. Nobody would have known.
We're on camera, Mark. People are going to see it. Come on, please. I just think
someone's listening and saying this is a mess.
I know. I just think the Deshaun thing is so weird because you have, after the game on Sunday, Kevin Stefanski says, everybody knows he was cleared from the concussion protocol or whatever tests that he did, but he decided to hold him back to not injure the shoulder anymore. But then he's saying, that's our guy in Seattle. He's going to start against Seattle. Well, then you ask Deshaun, are you starting against Seattle? And he says, I'm not sure. We're going to have to see. It's just the most confusing thing to me.
That means two things. Either one, Deshaun doesn't know Stefanski said that and doesn't want to speak out of turn without hearing from his head coach. And in that case,
that's what it is.
That is the right move. And that is exactly what he should say. Or his shoulder hurts and he doesn't know.
Well, and he even said, he was like, I'm just praying that it didn't get any worse. I'm praying that it wasn't any worse. So that's what, like, he's been medically cleared for a while, but then he's fragile enough to where one hit like that, we're going to pull him for the whole game? I don't know.
This is the part I can't figure out with Stefanski. He pulled them after seeing the hit. I pulled him out of... It just occurred to you that he could take a really big hit in an NFL game? What?
Right.
That does not add up to me.
But then they were saying on the sideline they couldn't see him like raise his arm up all the way.
Then say that.
And so,
right? We have a re-aggravation. He couldn't do this. Don't tell. Well, I was afraid he was going to get hit.
It was weird, and then what was also weird to me was that there didn't seem to be any pushback from Deshaun on the sideline. Like, a lot of times I feel like when you see quarterbacks, was it Mahomes last year, they showed it on quarterback, and he's sitting there screaming at the coach and trainers and saying, no, I don't want to leave and get an x-ray. No, I don't want to go. I'm fine. Put me out with his ankle or whatever it was. And there was no pushback from Deshaun.
Nope.
I don't even think that's Deshaun, though. Because there's not really too many clips that we've seen of him like that. I don't think he's super vocal. Well, in that capacity, I just think that no one really. Of course, the team is not going to let out what's really going on with Deshaun. We're just not going to know. It's like a week-to-week basis, like they say. It's day-to-day. No one really knows the true factor of what's going on with the shoulder except for them, which makes sense because that's how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to technically know these things until the last minute. But what I don't know is if the confidence still relies in Deshaun, though. Because I think when you put him out there, 70% or not, whatever, it doesn't seem like they have a lot of confidence in him right now. Of course they're not going to say that, but you could say you didn't want to worry, you wanted to worry about him re-aggravating it again, whatever, when you put him back in. But I mean, there's a reason why they left PJ in the entire time.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was just in there for a quarter. The man was pretty much in there for the entire game.
Yeah.
You're right. Deshaun made 5 throws, and how many of them were good?
One? I think one.
He was 1 of 5.
He was one of 5.
But it's easier to just say that the shoulder is what's going on too. So to me, I don't know. I don't know which one it is at this point.
And looking at his tests,
and I think he is going to be out for a little bit. I think at some point it's going to happen. I don't know when. I think he's going to miss another game or two at some point.
Yeah, I agree with that. And looking at him, like, he had distance yesterday when he was throwing the ball. So that was something they were worried about, right? Is like, can he go a full drive and the functionality or whatever? Like, he was able to take some deep shots. They weren't great, but he was able to get the distance on him. And so that's I don't know. It's just so confusing to me. It's stressful trying to figure it out.
It's just very strange behavior about a very strange situation and what has been a strange acquisition. There was all the drama with him, obviously, off the field, and then the suspension was changed. Nothing has been normal about this. This was supposed to be the normal year.
Franchise quarterback.
And even if he had just got hurt and it were a normal injury, it would still feel regular in the sense that a guy is hurt, he's down, he's on IR, he comes back but we can't even have that.
No.
It's this wishy-washy game to game. Now he's in, then he got hit, so we're pulling him again. Don't know about next week, don't know about the future. This has just been the most bizarre situation. Very strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. But you also don't know if they're trying to pull, away from what happened with Baker Mayfield when he had his shoulder injury.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're trying to do it with that. You know what I mean? Because he played through that and was not very good.
No.
Well, that was what they told us. So
the quarterback we've talked about. Well, who knows if they'll actually. By the way, the trade deadline is Halloween.
Spooky season.
I'm sure there's a series of jokes that could be made there about the Browns. I'm not in the mood to go find them right now. Do you guys think they should be exploring any other positions? Running back,
I think you need to look at someone for they're all banged up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you can look at the O-line. Obviously, they've had some trouble there. The wide receiver, I'm just curious about because you go get all these receivers. Well, who's going to throw it to them?
Yeah, and we can
go get. We can get anybody right now. Who's
getting them the ball?
Yeah, that's good. Like, we want to go get DeAndre Hopkins, and then no one throws it to him. I mean,
and we're still waiting on the Elijah Moore, who had a big catch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He did finally have a big catch, but that hasn't been what we were hoping for.
Well, it's not like you saw a ton from Amari yesterday either. You haven't seen a ton from the wide receivers to begin with, but it goes back to, who's throwing to him? Who's making those plays?
BJ's made some decent throws. So I'm going to say, he's done good, decently.
Well, I mean, Walker, the game again, we talked about it last week. It's last week, but Moore was open for 2 big plays. Walker didn't make the throws. You're right. I mean, it's hard to look at wide receiver when the quarterback play has been just dreadful. It's something, depending on the metrics you're using, I've seen rankings between 30th and 32nd in the league. I mean, it's bad. And it's not just Walker, because Watson has played in games, and he's been bad. So that's it. It's a mess. Now, running back, we know what Chubb is out for the year. Hunt is... I think we know what he is too, and he's not a bad thing. Ford is still a young player. Do they explore running back? I don't know if they really need to.
I don't think you necessarily need to. So what was Kareem was dealing with a leg injury, a thigh or hamstring, or I'm not sure.
Pretty strong on that last run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is if he's okay and Ford's okay. Look, it's the exact same thing with the quarterback thing. You're not going to bring in someone that's like a Chubb that's going to completely change your season for you. No. So I think it is manageable what you have right now. I think the biggest thing you got to figure out is what the heck are you doing at the quarterback position? And then you need some people to protect the quarterback. If we're worried about one hit for Deshaun that could rattle him loose or whatever, then let's maybe explore O-line. But
it's amazing to me that they had revelation in the first quarter, after the first quarter had started, that he might get hit.
Yeah, and it was his head looked bad, like his head snapped back hard on that, but the shoulder, it wasn't, I don't know, it looked like a standard hit that you would expect to take in a football game. So it was interesting that rattled it so much. I don't know. So
with the trade deadline coming, they do need to look at pass rush because this Garrett guy can't play.
What was that leap yesterday? Oh my gosh!
Myles Garrett was sensational.
Oh my gosh.
He was amazing, leaping over
making
people.
his case for MVP, not just Defensive Player of the Year. But people were recycling to the old footage you see of him in the offseason on the box jumps, and people are like, "Yeah, that translates." You see him on these crazy box jumps, how he can clear it, and then look at that. He said that was something that he's done in practice before too. I would have loved to see the first time he did it in practice. What the guy saw, because Bubba saw it and was like, "Yeah, we need to do that in a game."
Yeah. I think it's interesting too. Even though Myles Garrett had a phenomenal game, I think this is also another game that shows probably their most exposed game for the defense. Obviously, I want to say the Colts. They say they racked up 456 yards.
Yeah, they
so
moved the
you
ball.
have to understand, the defense always bails them out, which still I believe that the refs took that game for the Browns, and I'm going to stand by that because some of these calls were insane. But this was the one team that truly exposed them, and that's going to happen down the line.
Gardner Minshew went down the field.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Especially 100%. At the beginning. I mean, and you made a good point when we were watching the game together, because we're like, this would be so typical of Browns, right? To not have a great performance against the Ravens and then go crazy 49ers, and then now all of a sudden lose to the Colts. You made an argument of, okay, so does this defense play to their opponent? Do they play to the level of their opponent, which it appeared to be that way at the beginning of the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still, now they've averaged, I don't know what the numbers are now, going into the week, let's phrase it that way. They had averaged 60 fewer yards per game given up than any other defense. You have to look at it that way because they've had the bye, other teams haven't, so total yards doesn't equate, but average does. So I don't know if it could be clearly that simple, but we have now seen 2 games where you're like, boy, these guys. And with the Ravens, I guess it was really just the one quarter or the first half. Maybe they did settle down the second half. But they had problems up and down the field yesterday. Gardner Minshew made plays, made throws, made plays with the legs for crying out loud.
Well,
he ran the ball.
And then you
him.
look at the end of the game when Michael Pittman had that 75-yard run. So,
two
touchdown.
Tackles,
So,
two just sloppy tackles.
They were missing a lot. And then, this is where these games are going to come into fruition when you're looking down the line, when you have the Steelers and the Ravens and, when you're getting close in that divisional race, like to try and get up there, you can't be missing assignments.
No.
But
simple.
if the defense is missing tackles,
They're tired.
If the offense isn't productive, you know who you have, folks? You have Dustin Hopkins to bail you out.
Dude.
And he
Yeah,
was
great game.
electric.
15 points.
Love him. I love him ever since we got him. He's incredible. And look at that. We have a good kicker in Cleveland. Amazing what it does for a team.
I love it when Leah refers to a kicker as electric.
He is electric. He had a career high, a 58-yarder.
He piped that thing
Yeah.
from 58.
And he's just a great person, so it makes you so much more excited
At
for
least
him.
they have got that figured out. Like, that was a
See?
problem all last year.
They would have lost this game, not for Dustin Hopkins
They would've.
yesterday. So that's the difference
They
it
would have.
makes to have a kicker like that as opposed to Cade York. So
Myles Garrett, the crazy part, people might think, we see running backs jump people and hurdle people all the time, but you don't realize that was from a standstill. He said they had watched that in practice on tape, and they said the Colts are slow to get up. And so they watched this, and he knew how and when to exploit it. And he said after that, then they started to get up a little quicker. So now they put that on tape for everyone to realize, all right, 95 is out there, the freakazoid. We got to get up quick.
Yeah.
That's now something that is a red alert play for everyone that has to make a kick against the Browns. And if it's like a critical extra point or field goal, people are going to be like squirrely. How do we get on 95?
what goes through your mind if you're the Colts and you see him do that yesterday in front of you?
What did the kicker think?
That's what I'm saying.
He's into his regular motion, and all of a sudden in 95 is standing. It's like a horror movie.
That's what I'm saying.
You open a door and there's a dude there. You're not supposed to be there.
No, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, it was insane. It was like something out of a movie in slow-mo. You could just see him flying. He was like a superhero. It's crazy.
Why is that man in our backfield?
He's not human. He's crazy. From a standstill could just leap like that. It's incredible.
That is wild to me.
Those box jumps.
It is the box jump.
Which box jumps always terrified me. I hated. I was afraid you'd split your shin open. I had a friend that did that on a box jump at freshman year of high school. She split her shin open on it. Had to go to the hospital. You could see down to her bone. I know. That's why I don't do box jumps.
So what did she do? Not jump the correct way?
No, she didn't clear it. And so if you don't clear it,
I'm also not jumping on stuff that I know I can't clear.
Yeah, she couldn't clear it, and so
You got to jump on boxes you know you can clear.
hit the metal pole part of it and split her shin open.
How we feeling about the quick change of subject because that's disgusting. How do we feel about Seattle? I understand there's a huge question mark about the quarterback, but at this point, I'm nervous.
I think we're going to be nervous heading into every single game.
We are.
Even if we have Deshaun, if we don't have Deshaun, I feel like it's going to be the same. We're iffy about how the quarterback's going to play. We're iffy about how this offense is going to look, if they're going to be effective. And then we're iffy about if the defense is going to start off strong or if they're going to start off a little sluggish. I just feel like it's the same thing. I'm never going to go in and be like, yes, I'm confident that's a for sure win.
Yeah.
Because we're not. Colts was a game that they obviously should have won, and they almost didn't. I mean,
right.
I don't think you're ever going to feel fully confident going in. There's just not a lot of consistency with this team, and so it's hard to know how they're going to stack up amongst other people.
Yeah, and it's 2 hard ones back to back too. I mean, which we've been saying back, when we were talking about the schedule. I mean, it definitely doesn't get easier, and this one's on the road, time change. I think all that
going
plays
out west,
a factor.
all that jazz. By the way, it's funny. We're having this conversation, and I think a lot of people, it is a victory Monday, by the way, and a lot of people feel down about the team and just what's going on with the quarterback, and they don't like this, and the team's 4-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not 2-4.
Second
So I'm saying
in
they're
their
finding
division.
ways to win games.
They are finding ways to win, and I people rip Stefanski up and down. I'll tell you what, the offensive side of the ball has had a lot of adversity this year. It started with losing Nick Chubb, and then everything that's going on with the quarterback situation.
Conklin and so many.
Yes, give Stefanski credit. If you don't like some of his play calling, that's fine. That's fine. But there is a chemistry with the group that they are playing for each other enough that they are finding ways to get through this. And you got to give the head coach credit for that. If you want to get on him about some things, that's fine. But I don't want to hear this guy stinks, he should be fired, this, that, and the other. They're 4-2. It is a miracle that they are 4-2 with some of the things they've had to overcome with this offense.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I totally agree with that.
Shout out to the refs on that last game.
That was unique. Here, let's
I don't
bring
care,
this
man.
up.
Let's be real. That PI was insane. I'll give you the illegal contact, but the PI was insane. That was not a catchable ball.
Now,
and I really feel like that would have changed a lot.
Here's the thing, though. I know some of the Colts people feel jobbed because they had what they thought was a fumble.
Yeah.
That was not a fumble. His arm went forward. Mm-hmm. So you can't assume the Colts have the ball, they run out the clock. We don't know what would have happened had they only called one of those two. Mm-hmm. They were suspect, I'll give them that, but the Colt people that I heard from seem angry about the fumble. It wasn't a fumble. The arm, go watch the video.
Yeah,
the
forward
arm
motion.
There was barely, but it was forward motion. Mm-hmm. That was never going to be their ball. And we don't know what would have happened, down the way. You can say, well, we stopped all those passes. Well, you're on the 1 yard line. You have less room to defend.
Right.
You don't know what would have happened. They could have thrown one over to Njoku over the middle and he catches it. You don't know. All right, going into see. We haven't done top dogs in a little while, so let's do it. Top dogs. Who are we looking for next week?
I don't want to say Myles Garrett because that's what everybody's going to say.
He's the easy answer.
I know. I don't want to pick an easy answer. I would like to see, well, it's the same thing I'm always saying. Why don't we see anything from David Njoku? That's the thing that bothers me. We talk about get this offense going. If we're not really having much with the wide receivers, I think the run game is consistent. I think you can rely on it to be what it has been so far. I don't think it's going to get progressively worse. I don't know if I think it's going to get a lot better. Mm-hmm. I want to see more David Njoku. I want him to be my top dog. I want a big breakout game from him.
Ash?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to just say it as a whole. We'll say the secondary. I don't, it's kind of hard because I don't know if DK Metcalf is playing or not. Right. So I think some of these guys, it's if you got DK out there, you got to have your secondary on point. Yes. DK's tough, right? So I would say the secondary. I mean, they missed a couple of tackles, a couple of big ones. Obviously, this team can get off too, just like how the Browns can get. So that's probably what I would have to go with, but I don't really know what's going on with DK. So
did Denzel Ward talk today, or didn't he leave with like concussion protocol or something?
He left, but
Sunday?
Not a concussion. Okay. I can't remember what it was. I think whatever. He seems to be okay. Or
did he talk today, Ashley?
No.
Okay,
he didn't talk.
I can't remember if he did.
The easy one, and so I won't say it.
He was getting It did say he was getting an evaluation though.
It did, but I believe he cleared it, didn't he?
That I don't know.
Okay, I might be wrong. I don't want to misspeak on that.
But if that would have been the case, then Stefanski would have said that, and Stefanski
didn't say anything.
Didn't mention anything. Yeah, about
so
Denzel.
we're probably in the clear there. And Denzel with his history of concussions, that's the one that's the injury with him you're really looking out for. The other stuff you can overcome. So for my top dog, I mean, it's so easy to say Deshaun Watson. I want to see a big boy effort, but I'm not. But we don't know if he's going to play.
Don't hold your breath,
so I'm
Mark.
not going to put it there. Who I want to see more out of, and I don't mean this in the sense that he's not doing enough. I want to see Kareem Hunt get more shots at the football.
Yeah, for sure.
Ford's been okay, and he had a nice game. He had the long run and everything, but I guess, I still want to see what Kareem's got in the tank.
Yeah, when it's like we need the game where they just kind of let him loose, right? I mean, Stefanski said it was going to be a little bit to integrate him into this offense, and we've seen that kind of happen. We've seen him get some more touches, but I feel like we need to, let him rip and see more from him.
The Kareem Hunt game. That's what we're searching for. The David Njoku game. Yeah. We're searching for the Kareem Hunt game.
We're searching for anything from this offense
to have a breakout game.
At this point, we want to see
the quarterback game. Can we see some efficiency under center? All right, before we get out of here.
Let me say one thing before we get to the other one. Shout out to David Bell, because his cousin went into labor at the game, going to see her cousin. Obviously, her water broke after she left from tailgating, and the baby was born at the stadium. And I think that at the stadium, the baby was born. I don't know where in the I don't think they got that into it of where the baby was born.
In
but
the nursery of
yeah,
Lucas
the baby
Oil
was
and-
born in the stadium. So obviously it was not enough time to get her to the hospital, and
my
that has to be
gosh.
amazing. David didn't address it, but there have already been a bunch of reports, and one of the reporters out there actually just said that that's what was going on. So that's pretty cool.
That is amazing. All right,
Everybody's just having babies.
That's a great
In
story
the
to always
stadium.
have.
real quick, and we got to wrap this in about 2 minutes, but this is for Leah, since she is our resident Taylor
I forgot about
Swift
this. Yes.
analyst. The tweet that blew up America, Tay-Tay and Bernie Kosar. Here's what I need help on before you get all excited about your girl. She's in the tweet with Bernie Kosar. Clearly in the background is the Browns-Colts game. This appears to be in a house. And like later on at the 4 o'clock games, she's in a suite in Kansas City. Where was this photo
So
taken?
we're assuming Travis Kelce's house, because what Taylor has done in the past is she has gone to his house with his parents for like a pregame, whatever they do before the game, and then they all go over and go to the game and go to his suite or Mahomes' suite or whoever suite that you're in. So obviously Bernie was, I would assume, at Travis's house, and so we were like, okay, what's the connection here? I have to assume he's friends with like the Kelsey family.
Might
I mean,
be.
Cleveland. I would
Yeah,
assume.
that might be
and then
it.
he was tweeting out photos of Jason and Travis like dressed up as him when they were little kids. So obviously there's got to be some sort of
That's probably
Cleveland connection there, but it is a Browns Taylor Swift crossover I never saw coming.
No.
And the funniest thing was all the Swifties were trying to figure out who that was in
Of
the
course,
photo, because
they've been watching football for 11 minutes,
well,
so they're
yeah,
like,
so
"Who
there's
is this man?"
No way they know of who Bernie Kosar is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean they're just starting to learn what a field goal is or what a down is, you know. So give them a sec; they're not going to know who that is. But it was funny looking at all the comments, and people tweeted out and were like, "Taylor's with Bernie before the game," and everyone was like, "Bernie Sanders? She's with Bernie Sanders? Is he going to the Kansas City game?" And then people were like, "Who's that grandpa?" And then they were trying to figure out who exactly it was, and then they finally, reached and figured out who it was.
suddenly-
But I love the Browns Swiftie crossover. I'm here for it.
That was
Yeah.
the wildest thing.
Can we just stop talking about her on this podcast?
Ashley
For
is
the love of God.
done with Taylor Swift.
What episode is this? 6?
I think this is
Seven,
seven,
And we've talked
Rainforest?
for like the last 4 episodes about her.
Yeah,
I'm burnt out.
it's y'all's world. I just live in it.
I'm burnt out.
Happy to
Ladies,
be your
it's-
T Swift commentator.
It's been a rip. Thank you.
Goodbye.